Good morning, everybody. Wow, it took me a long time to get out here. That is the last time, at least for a while, that I'm going to do any complaining on my videos, because that is about trolls and pests on the internet, because I wasn't fishing for compliments, honest. I was just ticked and mouthing off, but my fingers are numb from typing back to you all for all the support and thanking me for these videos on the channel. And so I knew you were out there, and that's most people for sure, so I really appreciate it. Thank you. Just, one big thank you. Anyway, so as far as Hawaii and the volcanoes and such go today, there really isn't anything too new. They're still concerned about the wells. Well, they've all been quenched, supposedly, at the geothermal plant, but the lava keeps moving in there, and so this, it's bad. I guess it's not good, but I must admit that I'm really thoroughly enjoying the fact that that everybody's going, we don't know what will happen. Because I've often believed, that man's a little bit too cocky about how we feel that we control things here on the planet, and it's not true. It's an illusion of the mind, because, if the Earth decided to shrug us off, it will, and we don't know what it's going to do if that lava runs into those wells. There's a whole lot of unknowns around here, and most of it has to do with our understanding of the natural universe and the control it has over us. The belief that we're in charge here is an illusion. It's not real. Yeah, I heard the governor say that this morning. We don't know what's going to happen. Otherwise, I believe it's Fissure 22 over there. It's piling up now to such an extent around the fissure that it's starting to get a conical formation. It's looking like it's going to develop the latest pu'u in the on the southeastern rift on Kilauea. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term, pu'u is the Hawaiian word for these cinder cone type things or volcano type things that pop up on the southeastern rift of Kilauea. They're a lot like pimples, they're just here and there and all over the place. Kilauea does have a main caldera, but it also has just a series of little ones that go on down. And these are referred to as pu'us, P-U, Okina U, accent mark U. Anyway, it's piling up over there off Fissure 22, which is, just down the street from my buddy Jim's house. That's by now maybe under 10 or 20 feet of lava. It's looking like it's going to become the latest volcano in the chain. I'm hoping that's really not true. Again, we don't know what's going to happen. No way to predict that. But if it does happen, what means from our house we're going to have a spectacular bird's eye view of the latest cinder cone here. We'll be able to see it all the time and probably watch it glowing at night and whatever it does. The bad news is then if generally we're pretty well windproof into most of this here, but if we get the latest volcano down southeast of us, then I'm in more danger when we get southerly winds of actually getting that junk moving in here. So let's just hope it isn't going to happen that way. Although Buddy Jim's going to have ground zero right in the latest attraction in the national park, if that does occur. Hear that, Jim? I'm making fun of you. I know you're suffering. I hope you have insurance. Otherwise, in that regard, as far as what we control and what we do not control here on the planet, so I'm a glutton for punishment, because I heard some stuff on this current administration this morning and yesterday that was just unreal. I mean, to begin with, this guy, Scott Pruitt, that they put in, who's helping to destroy the Environmental Protection Agency, for whatever agenda those people have. I cannot understand it, but the EPA released a statement yesterday that says that the highest concentration of SO2 in the atmosphere, sulfur dioxide, in the United States is in Hawaii. Like my tax dollars needed to tell me that, you know. We got volcanoes going up now. You know, it's clear why they say these things if you follow their agenda. Their agenda, of course, is there's no such thing as climate change. All of it's totally natural, and that they have been deregulating coal because there were several coal barons that had poured money into getting Trump elected, and of course that was his base there in West Virginia, unemployed coal miners, you know, and they go, oh boy, Trumpy's going to put us back to work because they're going to deregulate coal and everybody's going to start burning it again, you know. That ain't going to happen, but it did make it a little easier for his campaign contributors. But the point being is that SO2 in the atmosphere, according to Scott Pruitt's EPA, is mostly coming from natural sources, not from the burning of coal and fossil fuels. Well, of course, you know, there are natural sources. We got one right here. You know, it's an issue. Of course, that's weeny, minuscule compared to the amount of fossil fuels we burn across the entire planet every day. And so it's, you know, it's just more of the agenda of trying to say that global warming is a natural occurrence and air pollution is natural. It's not caused by our activities, you know. Well, for sure, I was one of the happiest guys in the world when they actually started the EPA, and I remember when it began, because as a child in the 1950s, I lived in Chicago. Smokestacks were short at that time rather than tall. Making the smokestacks taller was one of the first contributions we made towards the environment because it blew the stuff out of town. It used to settle right down in the city of Chicago. They used to still burn coal in a lot of the trains in those days. Coal was very, I mean, houses were heated with it in Chicago even. You know, I remember we burned coal when I was a boy. And it was awful. I spent my entire childhood in permanent sinus infections with nosebleeds, you know. And it was because of the air. The air was foul. It was disgusting, as well as the water. I used as a child, I was an avid swimmer. I loved the water, you know, and I was scared to death to fall into the Chicago River because it was so foul. I knew that I would die instantly just by touching it, you know. It was a nightmare that I would have about falling into that river. And when the EPA came about and they started to regulate you know, pollution in this country, things got better and better and better. The waters improved, the air improved, and now these guys are trying to take it apart. And there's no good reason for that agenda as far as we're concerned as human beings who live on the planet. The agenda is totally to enrich the pockets of a few mega rich individuals. So there's that one that basically, according to the EPA, Hawaii is the cause of air pollution. Otherwise, the other one, it was great. Oh, I laughed myself out of bed this morning. That Trumpster, he's been saying, oh, we're going to go ahead and take these Obama era emission standards off the automobiles. This is just too restrictive. It's bad for business, you know. And this whole thing about limiting the crop that comes out of the tailpipe of a car is just, you know, it's bogus because they don't believe there is any such thing as human contribution to climate. And, well, this morning I heard that yesterday Trumpy got a letter. The letter came from the American Association of Automobile Manufacturers. This is the club that Ford and Chevy and everybody belong to, see, the guys who make the cars. And they said, Mr. Trump, climate change is real. It's not a myth. And that reducing the regulations on automobile emissions is only going to make a more polluted planet, and it's not going to be good for business or for the United States. And so we got to ask ourselves, why was Trump even doing this? Because if the automakers don't want it, because, you know, these guys are smart enough. They realize this is just a political football, and it's an ignorant one to begin with because there's no basis in science behind it. It's a religious belief or something that, you know, if you can pollute the air enough and move the embassy to Jerusalem, that eventually the end times will come. That this is, you know, it's more James Watt, when the last tree is felled, the second coming of Christ will occur. If you remember that guy during Reagan's days, this right-wing evangelical agenda rises up in our government. Every time these guys get in power, and they're all looking for the end times. Well, I'll tell you what, if I actually thought I knew when the end of the world was coming, it would be presumptuous of me. The end comes when the end comes, and we got nothing to do with that. All we can do is run, hide, kiss our butts goodbye, and so on. So the automakers don't think him lifting the Obama-era standards on automobile emissions is a good idea. How about that, huh? So is this just trying to stamp out any imprint of the last administration? Is that what it's all about? It's hard to understand what the agenda might be, since it's not there to benefit the automakers. They know darn well as soon as the political football tosses back the other way, they're going to have to go back to that stuff, so it's bad for business anyway. I mean, I'm sure that's how they see it, that going back and forth like this isn't good. Steady. They got all their stuff lined up to be able to try to get these cars so they burn cleaner, you know, and really the future is in electric automobiles anyway. It's not in petroleum-powered ones, and that's what's really just strange about these guys, because the future is moving forward, you know. Present is looking towards what we can do to make things better and better, not gripping what came behind us and trying to hold it in place. That's a false view on reality. Anyhow, so I guess the guy in the hospital with the shattered leg, they say he will probably walk again. The gentleman who was hit by the lava rock here. Other than that, there really hasn't been too much anything else about volcanoes. So I just decided I need more punishment, so I'm going to complain about the current administration's environmental policies, because they aren't environmental policies and they don't benefit anyone who lives in this country. There's no benefit to us. Clean air, clean water, clean burning automobiles, clean burning power plants. This is the future. This is the future, and it's where we got to go. It's the only way we can sustain ourselves as people. So these guys are a throwback. They're putting everything back on hold again and messing with it. And so I just hope that most American business is smarter than the current administration, and like the automakers, telling them, look, forget it. You guys don't know what you're talking about. And all those guys out there who are making windmills, the people who are building photovoltaic cells, working on better storage batteries, etc., etc., etc. This is the future. I'm sure they know it, and it's going to slow things down a little bit because they're not getting help from a dinosaur administration, but it'll change. It'll come back. Sometimes I just wish this stuff wouldn't go back and forth like that, because it really does slow us down so much. It's sort of like the Vatican locking Galileo in his tower for the rest of his life because he said the Earth is not the center of the universe. Aloha. You all have a wonderful time.